Well, because at schools time is limited, and so in the school curriculum, how much time you can share for teaching about Hiroshima? It's very difficult. I can understand it. So even in Hiroshima, we have a special week about teaching Hiroshima in summertime in public schools like elementary schools or junior high. But they are not enough. And even teachers don't know anymore about Hiroshima A bombing, you see. Well, my name is Keijiro Matsushima, and I was born in the city of Hiroshima in 1929, and now I'm 81 years old. Yeah. I was in the school building of the Hiroshima Technical College, which had located about 2 kilometers to the south of the hypercenter. In the picture map here, okay, here is the hypercenter of the city, about 2 kilometers to the south, around here, yeah, in the school building. I like talking to young people because young people have the future of the world in their hands, you see. And especially American young people who have a big responsibility about the future, not only of the United States, but of the world. See? A lot of survivors in Hiroshima are still living very hard days, even today. One of my friends lost 6 people in his family in one moment, see? And he still is living a very sad days even today. And as you know, a lot of people were discriminated in many ways. For instance, people who had the keloid on their faces after their burns, see, in their faces, on their faces or necks or arms. Whenever we got on the buses or streetcars, there were some people who had keloid on their faces, and these people had a very hard time. People discriminated him or her, see. Because of the A-bombing, many people had problems about wedding, marriage, see. People were afraid of the genetic problems, and even today there is some wrong messages about us survivors. Yeah. People are afraid of genetic problem, maybe. Yeah. So we survivors have hard days. Some people couldn't get married, you see. Many of them are still having a very lonely days even today. So I was one of the exceptional happy one, I think. Yeah. A-bomb gave a lot of bad influences on our lives anyway. Yeah. Do you think the United States was justified in using the bomb? Well, this answer is very wrong, okay? Perhaps this question means most of Americans feel that that war could end because of the A-bombing, and a lot of lives, not only of Americans, but also of even Japanese, were saved. That bombing was quite reasonable and right. Don't you agree? I feel that this question could be translated like this. We did right thing in order to end that war as soon as possible, and we saved a lot of lives, even Japanese lives. If that war had still continued on, the damage to your country must have been enormous too. You would admit that the United States did just right thing even for your country, Japan. Don't you think so? This question is, however, kind of an inconsiderate and or a little cold-hearted question for us, who were killed, a lot of our loved ones, in brutal ways, in a moment, by that devil's weapon. Why don't you some Americans say some words to mourn the spirits of victims at first? People often cannot feel the pain of others. There are some Americans who tear, and some words of apology to me after they visited the Peace Museum. Perhaps they are shocked by the horrible damage and massacre by that single bombing, and many, they may feel guilty as the same human beings. In this sense, in such a case, I say, that's all right. You don't have to apologize to us. We do appreciate one drop of your tear to the victims. Most Americans are taught in schools that the A-bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki brought the sooner end to the war, and that nearly 1 million American soldiers and Japanese people must have been saved. Japanese government had not shown any attitude to the end of the war at that time. When I remember the situation of those days during the war, this opinion might have hit the point. The American side had enough reasons to open Pandora's box, and it means enormous death for us. It is certain that the A-bomb attack on Hiroshima was grave shock to our government. And then the Nagasaki bombing followed only 3 days after Hiroshima. Why didn't the United States give some more time for our government to consider the situation? I can't stop thinking that the United States military force just intended to kill more Japanese, even non-combatants, women and children. A big air raid to Osaka was carried out on 14th of August, just only 1 day before the surrender of Japan, and tens of thousands of citizens were killed, although the United States should have already known the surrender of Japan. Still, we can't say anything. We were losers of that war anyway, and a war is merciless anyway. Please do visit us here, Hiroshima, and maybe you can get knowledge about us, and you can teach more in your classes. The most important thing for us now is to swear to cooperate hand in hand the third use of the A-bomb and to abolish all the nukes in the world. That is the voiceless voice of the victims from under the ground.